Hi and welcome along to the channel. I've got my mobile phone in my hand here. We're going to go for a walk around the garden. I say garden, the whole space, to give you a bit of an update as to what's been going on here. Now, you might recall we've had a new well installed from here to the front. It's allowed us to make some changes to the front gardening area, which we'll see in a second. I've got some things to look at in the greenhouse, and there's a few things dotted around the whole plot. So, armed with all of that and my mobile, because this is going to be relevant, I can't turn it off, so we might get some notifications. We'll just have to work with that as we go. But you'll see the relevance of this in just 1 second. So, first stop, we're going to go and look in the greenhouse. So come on, let's go and take a look. Now as we go down to the greenhouse, remember this metal square? It's the opening to the well that pumps the water into the house, going in that direction. And as you recall, we had to dig a trench through here, going all the way down to the front of the house and out and beyond, to install the new well and the new system and the new piping. I fell down that hole, if you recall. I've just dropped these paving slabs in here as another pathway, and we're heading to the greenhouse. And there's a few things I want to show you in here. And the first also, these guys. Now these are justerberries. They're only a year old. I did get one, but I've got a couple of jobs for these guys. The first thing is they need a prune back, and secondly, I've got to relocate them out of these pots into somewhere new. Anyway, come back to that in a second. Just across here, I've got these two boxes here, and I want them to go in the greenhouse potentially. So let's get in here and have a look. Okay, it's a little bit untidy because there's not a lot going on here at the minute, because I'm looking at changing things around somewhat. You might recall that in the summer, in this bed here, I had peppers growing. And then over here is where I had the chilies. Now, I've got nothing growing in here as such, but what I do have are some squashes that I'm storing in here. We'll try and get round. Here they are. Now, just need to give them a once over. Make sure that they're okay. And they all seem to be doing all right. Just grab my thermometer here. Now we're looking at that. So the minimum temperature it's been in here over the last few days has been just below, hovering around freezing. I'm going to clear that because we've not had any frost issues here for a while now. Now, there's a few things I want to do, but I'm not sure if I can do it. So I need your help. Now this is the problem that I've got. I can't make up my mind. I've got so much going on around here. It's a big space. You know, we're looking at 4 hectares of me to be considering. And of that, I've got 1,000 square meters, which is just for growing fruit and veg. And I've extended that space, which we'll see in a bit. But I'm always trying to keep up with what's going on, what I think about, what I should be planning. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm always walking around, and we're going to be doing that in a second. And I come up with ideas, and one of them is here now, where do I continue to grow directly into the beds that I created last year next season? Or do I use the boxes that I've just shown you outside, bring them in here, and then create growing areas actually in pots and boxes, as opposed to going directly into the ground? Now, what I do know is that the soil that I brought in here last year was clean, very nutritious, full of all organic matter, and I don't want to waste that. Now, what I could do is I could sieve it and then put it into those boxes that I've got outside, and various other pots that I've got dotted all around the place, and then grow directly into those spaces rather than directly into the ground. I didn't get any weed growth in here last year, so I don't have any weed seeds. I don't know. What do you think? But this is yet another thing I need to be thinking about on top of everything else. And what I've found is that I struggle sometimes to remember the things that go on in this little head of mine. But I've got the app. And the app can help me, because as I walk around, I come up with these weird and wonderful ideas that need a little bit of more thought, perhaps. They're not classed as a task, but it's something I might want to think about and use later on. I don't go walking around my garden with a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm sure you don't either. So I can use my app and log that idea. So all I do is take the app and I can speak into it and record my thought. So here goes. Add an idea of using pots and containers in the greenhouse. No end time. So I've recorded it, and I'm waiting for it to come back with a reply. It says, great idea, using pots and containers in the greenhouse. And it's actually put it on the app itself. There it is. You do this via a WhatsApp message. So every time you're walking around the garden, you can log an idea. Now I've just also checked the winter produce. That comes in on the app as a task. So again, as I'm going around, I can say to the app the following. In the tasks section, update as completed, checking winter stored produce. So now that was just a very quick demonstration on how I'm using my own app that you can use as well, and the link's down below, to make life a little bit easier for you. And we'll talk a bit more about it as we go around looking at the space. So the well. This ground was very, very soft, and it took a lot of time to settle back in. Now the interesting thing is, what we've done is you can probably work out from over there, this was full of lilies. So we've dug them up, or some of them up, and we've transplanted them down through here. You can see some of them where they've died off a little bit. There's also a lot of grass beginning to grow back in here, which is quite amusing. And all these little things that you can see germinating here, that's chickweed. And there's a lot of it. Now it's edible, but maybe we've got too much there. Anyhow, we come down through here. The soil, like I say, has been very, very soft. And again, it's allowed me to pop in a few other shrubs. So there we go. We've got an hibiscus here. A lime tree there, donated by the son-in-law for my birthday. And all these fake acacias that have started to pop up, I'm just leaving them to grow. I think there's a couple of budleys in there as well, and a lilac. But we've had quite a bit of rain last month, 40 millimetres in total in the end, which is unusual for us. The idea of this, it can all grow in and hide my barbecue in the summer. And you might recall, I had the tractor deliver a load of sheep manure the other day. I'm about to be greeted by the dog from next door. A bodzer. Lovely little thing, only a puppy. Anyway, one pile of sheep muck, and we're going to be seeing an awful lot more. Let's go up the back. So we're coming into December, and obviously the weather's turning. I've got to say, it's not been as cold as I was expecting. So it's allowing me to crack on and get quite a bit of work done. This is the back of the greenhouse, and you can see just how exposed it is when all the leaves fall from the trees. And you know, we haven't got any now, and I've been making use of those leaves. But the other interesting thing is I've had a lot more of these fake acacias appear, and I don't mind. They can just carry on. Let's get a bit of a close-up. I mean, you wouldn't want these thorns in you, would you? But I'm just going to let them go. No reason why not. You might recall recently I had an awful lot of leaves delivered from the local council. And here they all are, slowly but surely rotting down. And what I want to do is mix that with this other sheep muck that I had delivered. And there it is. Now my idea, which I have logged in the app, is to extend this compost area here using these pallets. Not quite sure which way I'm going to go with it just yet, but the idea is to make another bay. And then what I'll do is I shall move some of this into its base, then add some of the leaves from here into it, and carry on like that, and make like a lasagna if you want, and then have another area for composting. So it'll sit on the back of here. I have got some polystyrene sheets, and I'm not sure whether, I can't decide whether to use that as a form of a hot composter. See how we get on, but that's another idea. Now, I've never used a hot composter before. I don't know how efficient they are. If you've used one, let me know how good they are. So this is the sheep manure. We've got one at the front, we've got one here, and then if we go across over there, we've got another one there. Now the idea of this is I'm getting this slowly but surely onto all of the beds. I'm pretty sure I might have some wildlife in here hibernating over the winter, so I want to be careful. Let me just chuck in the pitchfork in there and pulling out a hedgehog. It's quite possible, but there's a lot of straw in there, but once you get through this straw, below it, there is some quality manure I can use on the beds. So you can see here, I've got a stray mustard plant growing there. I've applied to the top section of these beds here and beyond, past the old polytunnel frame for the tomatoes, and I'm going to be doing exactly the same through the remainder of the spaces here, but I've still got some plants in the ground. I did a video recently when I was talking about applying compost and when to do it, and organic matter is what feeds the soil. So by using this sheep manure, I've got my organic matter which I'm going to use through the winter. That's fine. And come the summer, I can top dress. Now this bed here I've top dressed with compost, because this is where the garlic is. Planted at the end of October. Have we got any shoots? Well, we've got some that have appeared. Very difficult to see, but they are there. There's quite a big one here, look. So that's growing. And this looks different to the rest of the beds I've just shown you, because this is just compost and a little bit of extra mulch that I found in the bay on the top, keeping it snug for winter. And you might recall I did another video about sowing carrots, again at the end of July. Now on the right hand side are winter carrots, and these guys on the left are not. Have we got anything growing in here? We have. Look at that. They look pretty good. So I'm going to harvest for Christmas dinner. And these guys are a winter variety, like I say, so they'll stay in the ground over winter, ready to be harvested in the spring. I'm chuffed with those. I'm never very keen to clear any beds out, because for me, any roots that are in the soil are going to continue to interact with the soil life. So these are radishes. I didn't plant them to harvest, really. I did pick some and ferment them, but the rest I've just left in here just to keep the ground working with the life. And then what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days or so, I'll clear this bed out and then apply another layer of all the organic matter from the sheep manure to continue the process. Now this is another crop that I really am pleased about. These are broccoli, and if you look there you can see where I harvested the head, but I'm getting some offshoots from these guys, which is exactly what I was after. So there's another one there, and I've got some on there, look. So I'm quite happy about how that went. Now I never thought I'd be able to sow broccoli from seed in July and have a crop coming up to December. It needs a bit of a tidy up. Got a lot of dead leaves on there, they need to come out, but it's quite chilly, so I'm surprised it's growing. Now I'm not quite sure what this is growing in amongst these beetroots. I left the beetroots in, like I always do leave plants in, like I've already mentioned. These are rainbow beets in there. I will get them out pretty soon. I'm not quite sure what this green stuff is. If you've got any idea what that is, tell me. But again, you know, I'm not really too fussed. It's keeping the ground covered. And when I harvest these out, again, apply that organic material on the top for the winter, ready for spring. And the same applies here with the kale. Looking fairly healthy. Need to pick it. Get the lady of the house out here, but again I've got this plant growth here, not quite sure what it is. I've even got a little orange calendula coming through with a couple of buds to the side. That's not bad for December, is it? Now we're coming up to the last area, which are those new beds that I built in the summer with my lovely shorts on and manky old boots. You can see there, look, I've laid this manure and straw on the top as an organic matter covering, and leave that to do its thing over the winter, and then I can start applying compost in the spring. You'll notice that some of it's been pushed across by the wind, so I'll just knock that back with my foot. But generally speaking, that'll do a good job adding the organic matter. So there's always something to do in the garden, isn't there? You know, I picked up my leaves, I've left a few on the floor for the wildlife, and keep discovering new things to be thinking about for next year, including this mysterious tree that's appeared that it turns out is actually a fig tree, but we have no idea how it got there. So there we are. That's the garden at the moment in December, and despite its look, there's still quite a bit to be getting on with. I really encourage you to have a look at this app, because I put it together because I was very frustrated with what was available, and to be honest with you, not an awful lot. You know, I want to be able to track what I'm doing. I want to be able to measure my progress. So when I've put something in the ground, I want something to give me a little nudge to say, don't forget, go and prune your tomatoes. Don't forget to weed your courgettes, whatever it might be. I also want to be able to log what I've actually grown, so I can see how well I'm doing. And if I need to make changes for the next season, I can do that, no problem. I don't want to see ads. That's why I built it, because this app is ad-free. Now, it is available for a 7-day free trial during December, and then after that you can subscribe. And during this month, it's $9.99 or £7.50 if you're in the UK. And that's basically the price of a coffee and a slice of cake in your local coffee shop. That gives you lifetime access. If you don't do that in December, come January, that figure applies for a yearly subscription. There is a cost to hosting an app. It's not a free thing. So that's what that goes towards. Now there's loads of apps on the market, but they tell you what to plant, when to plant it. This is different. You decide what you want to plant. Now there's a template there of crops, broad beans, courgettes, tomatoes, peppers, everything. That's there. That's fine. But you can choose what vegetable you want to grow and what variety you want to grow. You set your own targets. Now I've set mine at growing 1,000 pounds in weight of produce next season, and that works out at 500 kilos. Now I know it's achievable because I've done it, and done it more than once. So that's my target for next year. So it motivates me to keep going. But you set your own targets. You set your own vegetables. You choose what varieties you're growing, because you're going to grow things totally different to me. That's for sure, because your climate and location is different to mine. And the other great thing about it is that whilst I might keep looking at the temperature gauges all the time outside, if there's a frost coming, I get an email alert to tell me that that's happening. So if I want to, I can rush out and bring in some tender crops. So it helps me in so many different ways, from planning and logging to reminders to alerts. I built it out of my own frustration. There was nothing available for me to use, so I've made it myself. And if you want to use it, there's a link in the description below. Now, as we've walked around the space, it's not a beautiful sunny day, certainly not summer gear weather. It's quite chilly, just above freezing, hence the jacket. But there's always something to do in the garden every month of the year. So whatever you're up to, I hope it works out okay for you and you're not getting too wet. And if you've got any ideas on what I should be doing in the greenhouse with regards to either planting directly into the ground or using the pots as I've already suggested I might do, then do let me know. I'd love to find out your thoughts on that one. But for now, take care, and I'll catch you soon.